Welcome back. Another video on the S10. I've done something. I've done something that a lot of you who are following the S10 may not like. And I understand because I don't really like it either, but it is what it is. Before I turn this camera around and show you, I want to make something very clear. I've been working on this truck here for, I don't know, 4 months, 5 months, something like that, maybe a little longer. I don't want to say I get bored, but my interests change. And with all the issues I've had for the past month and a half, to be completely honest, I've lost interest in the S10 build. I want to just drive it. So that's what my goal is. And I'm going to show you here. So let's just flip the camera around and get at it. All right, as you can see, she's tore down. I should have started recording a little earlier, but it's one of those things when you start working, you just keep going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be converting this back to a more stock build. It's still going to have the hooker headers. I'm leaving the LS6 valve springs. Basically everything you see here is except I'm putting the stock cam back in. I swapped out the valley plate so I could put the knock sensors back in. I'm going to be putting a factory intake back on. I haven't decided if I'm going to leave the chrome valve covers, or sorry, the polished aluminum valve covers, or if I'm going to put the factory truck valve covers back on. But yeah, the issue is simply I've just lost interest. I really want to get busy on that. The Nova, not the bike. The bike's done. The Nova. So I'm going to be taking all the good stuff, you know, the Holley front mount, mid mount accessory setup, which is not cheap. I'm going to be taking the rockers that I've already did the trunnion upgrade on. I'm going to leave the LS7 lifters in here. I'm going to leave the push rods, leave all that stuff, but I am going to take the trunnion upgraded rockers. I haven't decided if I'm going to take the cam or not. I wish I would have known more when I started to piece this build together, because in all honesty, that cam is probably the root of my issues. It is just too big for the mild build that it is. It's a BTR stage 4. I can't remember if it's the low lift or high lift. I think it's the low lift because I have the LS6 valve springs. But either way, it's too much cam for what this is. So honestly, if I would have went with something different, it'd probably be a little bit, I wouldn't have the issues I'm having. But I'll get into that later. So yeah, I'm taking all the good stuff and I'm going to be putting it on the Nova. I've ordered a turbo kit. I've ordered a Ride Tech 4-link full coilover suspension. I've ordered a bunch of stuff for this car because it's going to be pretty wild. But before I start on that car, I really want to be driving this truck. And I think the easiest way to do that is to go back on a more stock build. It's still going to be a pretty fun truck. They don't weigh anything. You know, it'll still move. It's going to sound great. I am going to go ahead and put in the limited slip once I make sure it runs right. I am going to finish the paint job. So it'll still be a solid, you know, LS swapped S10 that somebody can, you know, take it to the next level, because I'm done with it, if you want to know the truth. So in this video, we're going to convert it back. I don't know if we'll be able to test it at the end of this video or not, because there's a few odds and ends I need to pick up, such as some of the accessory water pump bolts that I've lost because the Holley kit came with new ones. I got to pick up some water pump gaskets. I need to pick up some coolant bypass gaskets. You know, little odds and ends that you just don't think about because you didn't plan to do this. I also need to figure a way to convert my AN pressure line on the Hydro Boost swap to the factory Silverado power steering pump. Shouldn't be a big deal. If I ever do, or if the future owner, when I sell it, wants to go AC, you can pick up a bracket for about 150 bucks and finish that swap. But either way, you know, the goal is just to have a good, fun driver when I'm done with it here. So it's probably not what a lot of you wanted to see, but I'll be honest, after the month and a half I've had of just trying to track down what it is, and I just don't want to spend another $1,000, $800 to $1,000, sorry, to go get a dyno tune 2.5 hours away. It's just not what I want to do right now, and so I'm not going to do it. I worked with the email tune for a while, and it just wasn't getting me anywhere, so I started obsessing over trying to tune it myself, and I actually made some progress. I got it to where it would at least spin a tire, but it just ran awful. It ran awful. So if I swap this all back to factory and it still runs awful, then I know there's something else wrong. But at this point, man, let's just get this rolling here. So I'm gonna put this on time lapse. We're gonna get this cam swapped out and just start reassembly. It really came apart really quick, so I'm hoping it goes back together fairly quick. I won't be able to finish it completely. Like I said, I got to pick up some gaskets, but we'll get there. Anyway, I've rambled long enough. Let's get working. All right, she's in there. Let's pull these out. These LS7 lifters and trays are brand new, so I probably wouldn't needed to use these dowel rods, but better safe than sorry, right? In case you didn't know what that's for, to swap these without pulling the heads, when you spin the cam, it throws the lifters back up into their trays. And then theoretically, you can pull it out. They're not going to fall, blah, blah, blah. But if they would fall and that cam is not there to stop it, you got to pull this engine out because you got to get down in the pan and hope you can find the lifter. So when you put these dowel rods right through here, this goes through a channel that where all the lifters come down to meet the cam. It's just that added safety to hold it up. But so we just put the factory cam back in, as you just saw. Still going to use this brand new high volume oil pump. It spins nicely. The bearings were brand new, so there's obviously no worry of bad bearings. I know they always say don't look at the cam bearings, but you know what? I think I said it when I was putting it together too. You're going to go to the time and effort to be doing this. Check or change your bearings if needed. I don't really care what anyone says. It's not expensive. It's not hard to do. Highly recommend it. But cam's in. So let's start putting the front back together, and then we'll end with putting the rockers, which there's the factory rockers from my spare LS. They are not pretty, but they're gonna work. So let's put this back together. Like I said, I can't put the front accessories back on yet, but man, look at these. That looks so nice in there. It still looks brand new, which it is brand new. There's no miles on this thing, but yeah, look at that. That is nice. So it's been a few days. I started working on this, as you know, but unfortunately I had to wait for parts. So I kind of stopped. I'm trying to think of the last scene you saw. I got the front cover on. That's where it was. I got the front cover on, and that's kind of where I stopped. I needed to get some parts. So I'm using the factory valve covers off of my other LS that I'm going to be building for the Nova. I give them a quick and dirty coat of black paint. I swapped out the rockers because I don't know if I said in the beginning of the video. I thought about leaving them, but I don't want to spend another, you know, 150 bucks on another trunnion upgrade. So I figured I'm in here, I got to pull them off anyway to swap the cam. So I yanked those trunnion upgraded rockers out, and I put the factory rockers from the spare LS in here. And what I just got to doing is setting the lash. There's quicker ways of doing it, but I like to just kind of watch as I go. And then whenever I see a valve fully closed, I go ahead and tighten that one. So on old small blocks or big blocks, you had to use feeler gauges, and depending on the type of cam, you would set it at, you know, 20 thou or whatever it was. A lot of times the cam card would tell you what cold lash or hot lash needed set at. These are really nice because you literally find the base circle where there's no preload on that spring, and you tighten it to 22 foot-pounds. That's it. It's so easy. It'd be nice if they were all like that. But anyway, so now I am throwing the valve covers back on. Or not back, yeah, let's say back on. Throw the valve covers back on. I'll tighten those down. And I got a spare set of coils that already have the brackets for the factory valve cover. So I don't have to pull all the other ones off, put them back on brackets and all that. So I'm just going to throw those on, and then the intake section will be good to go. I am sitting here noticing I don't have a fuel. Well, I still got the other valve covers. I may have an oil fill cap. I don't know yet. We'll have to go look. And as soon as I get these done, we will go look at the parts I got. They all came in today. Today is Thursday. I started recording on like Sunday, I think it was. Right now, shipping times suck, man. It's supposed to be here like 2 or 3 days ago. Or better yet, when you have Amazon Prime, paying for all that money to get, you know, 2-day shipping, and now you gotta wait a week sometimes. That sucks. I mean, I get it. We're in a pandemic. Things are not pretty out there, but still sucks. I want car parts. But, so I'm gonna tighten these down, put the coils on. I guess once the coils are on, we'll go through what I bought and continue reassembly. Okay, so I got the valve covers on, got the coil packs on. We're about ready to go, but I want to go over some of the stuff I had to buy. So I had 2 stock intakes. Let me flip this. I had 2 stock intakes. Unfortunately, one did not have a throttle body. One had an electronic throttle body. That ain't gonna work. So I had to buy a throttle body. This little beauty. I'm gonna clean that up. Hopefully the sensors still work. We're gonna find out. But I'll get that cleaned up. That was like, I don't know, 30 bucks on eBay. It wasn't expensive. And then I had to order some fuel rails. These just so happen to come with injectors. I have no idea if they're even good. As you can see, there's one that looks newer than the rest. And I don't think it's the exact same injector, but who knows. We're gonna try and use this as is. We'll see what happens with that. Next, so obviously the water pump will fit. I gotta get this stupid fan off, but the water pump will fit. What did not fit was the power steering pump and its bracket. So that bracket there, I mean, there was no way it was gonna hit all over here. It just wasn't going to work. So looked online. I didn't want to spend big dollars. I also didn't want the alternator being way over here, and so I went the ICT Billet route. I really like their parts. They have a lot of good stuff and really good prices. Bolts, brackets, covers, they're really good stuff. So I bought their bracket set, which is going to relocate, well, I won't go through all that, but this is it. It will relocate the power steering pump here and the alternator here. And then the belt will go down, around, down. Real simple. That's what I wanted. Not even a belt tensioner. So you actually will tighten the belt with a little, I don't know, clevis tie rod deal. You'll see when I get to it, but that will get us due with the accessories. Obviously, this truck could have AC if you wanted to put a different bracket set on and hook up, you know, the AC back the way it was. I had planned on it, but at this point, I just want to drive the stupid thing. So we're going to be running a very simple accessory setup using these ICT Billet brackets, which once I get to that point, we'll walk through how to do it. What else did I buy? Oh, a little heater hose bypass. That's just to get us going. Obviously, if you want to use a heater, it's very simple. You run 2 lines to the water pump. Oh, that's important. And then I got some water pump bolts because I couldn't find the factory bolts in my storage building over there. So this, I'm hoping, where'd it go? There it is. So I already pulled the power steering pump out of that bracket. So as you may remember, I ran all my power steering lines. I custom made those, and I used these little adapters that would turn it into AN fitting. So the output on the factory truck pump is in the back, and I'm hoping that this M16 by 1.5 O-ring fitting will convert this to AN. So let's see. Yeah, it does. So now the next hurdle, that's awesome. That saves me a lot of work and time. So what we'll do now is obviously this line here, this is my pressure line, and I'm hoping I got enough slag. If I don't, I'll have to reroute it, but that ain't a big deal. I'll have to get this turned somehow or get some kind of adapter to go out the back into that. But either way, at least it gets me an AN connection. So that'll be my pressure line. Then it goes into the hydro boost, comes back down, and I got it teed into the drain here. So I got to run one line to the drain, or the return, sorry, on the pump. That fixes that issue. But next we're going to put the intake on. I'll put the balancer on, water pump, get that fan off, start the bracket assembly. Yeah, and then just take care of little odds and ends from there. The goal of this video is to have this thing running by the end of it. So it may be a 20-minute video, maybe a 30-minute video, I don't know. The only thing that's going to skew that is if we run across any problems. So let's just hope there's no problems. I've rambled enough. Let's get moving. Let's get this truck done and doing burnouts. intake's on, fuel line's hooked up. I actually should probably shorten that slightly and put a 90. I do have the fitting to do it, but for now it is what it is. So this is the older style returnless rail. Some of the newer ones have a return on it. So this is perfect because I've already got the fuel system set up for returnless at the fuel filter regulator. So yeah, I could probably make that look a little bit better, but I used a Russell's GM OEM adapter to a 6AN, which goes in the rest of my fuel system. I had to tweak the I had to tweak the throttle cable bracket, which may or may not work. We will see. This probably should be shortened a little bit, and I'll tighten it up once I get it all ready. But overall, it's going together quite well. I may need to change the pinout on the IAC connector, because if you remember in prior videos, I was using the Sniper part number for the IAC motor, which required that I repin the connector. So I'll probably change that back since this is definitely OEM. But for now, I'm just keeping plugged in so it's out of the way. So let's get this water pump on here, man. This is the holding tool for like a grinder, and I just stuck it in this hole in here, and I braced it against the nut itself. I set this big adjustable wrench, and I just tapped it with a hammer. It was nothing. That was simple. So if you have a grinder and you still have the tool to change out the grinding wheel, this will be perfect to get a fan clutch off. There it is. Easy. All right. I hope we got enough room. I think we got enough. Yeah, we do. We got plenty of room for the electric fans on this radiator I'm using. Okay, next, let's get this tensioner off, and I will start rigging up or figuring out how these brackets go. It shouldn't be too hard. Let's go. Okay, so I didn't record that because it wasn't hard, but the instructions are, in my opinion, they're about worthless. I just said you should always use them, but in this case, I just kind of tried to use them. That's what they look like. And then from there, I made it work. So right now, everything's just kind of loose because I know I'm going to need to adjust it to get the right tension on the belt, but it's in there. So the only thing that was easy was putting the backing plate, the rear bracket, on the head. From there, it was a series of spacers and other brackets. Let me see if we can get that in there. So, yeah, hopefully, it looks, let's see here. It looks like it would line up. Everything looks right, but hopefully the power steering pump isn't too bad. But once I get that on, we can get the belt, and then I can get this adjusted properly. All right, so it's the next day. It got late last night, but we got it done. So here's where we're at. I got the power steering pump mounted in the bracket. The ICT bracket is very nice. It looks very nice. The power steering pump side went together very easy. This side wasn't bad either, but keep in mind, the instructions were awful. But this side was very simple. I would have actually kept going last night. However, my tool to put the pulley back on broke. So this little insert, let me pull it out and I'll show you what broke, if you want to call it that. So if you look, it's threaded on both ends. This side here threads into the snout or the shaft, and this side screws into the tool. Where's it at? Oh, it's down here. So here is this is the remover and installer for the pulleys, and the problem is when I was taking the pulley off, I guess the little insert that you put in here to press against the shaft, which is this, the way it rode, the inside boogered up all those threads in there. So I actually tried to chase the threads, but it did a little more damage than just needing chase. It actually ripped the threads out of the bottom. So I can't use it to install a pulley anymore. These tools from Harbor Freight, 20 bucks. I figured I'll just go buy a new one instead of trying to mess with retapping that and all that stuff. So I got a new one. We'll get that pulley put on. Then we'll start messing with the belt, making sure we get that tight. Luckily or unluckily, whatever, the pressure line needs to be clocked 180 degrees. I don't know if I can do it where it's at, but we're gonna try. Worst case scenario, I can easily just get a 90 that come out of the back of the pump and then go into a coupler. I think I even have some of that stuff laying around that will work, but either way, that is nice because that'll be easy to hook up. And then obviously I'll just run a line from the drain or return from here up to here. Very simple. That fixes that. So I went out to the old valve cover and took the oil fill cap off there, so that's there. Like I said, I got the belt tensioned. I also clocked my power steering hose, and I don't like how twisted it is, but I mean, it'll work. I also hooked up the return. All that's done. I do have to extend the harness for the alternator, which that's not bad. 2 wires go right to here. Lastly, and I need to do this quick because I may have to run to the store tonight before they close for a lower coolant hose, lower radiator hose, because I don't think the one that I used is going to work. So let's pop the radiator here real quick and see if I'm going to have to run to town. All right, so I got a little excited. Just got back from the parts store. I just got a factory Silverado upper hose. It worked. It gets a little narrow over on this bend, but it'll work. I don't think it'll be a problem. The lower hose, on the other hand, I used the one that I made, and I think it'll work. We'll find it. If it leaks, I'll go pick up another one, but I really didn't want to pull that hose off and get coolant everywhere, so we will try this. If it leaks, then I'll get the other hose. If it works, then I'll fill the radiator back up with coolant, because obviously I lost a ton of coolant when I opened it all up. I did make sure that the cold air little cheap eBay intake would fit. Technically this bin should be up here, but I really like the way it looks flat. I mean, it's still a decent looking engine bay. Obviously when I'm done, this will all be detailed up and look good again. But I mean, as long as it runs and drives, this will be a killer little truck, man. It'll be fun to drive, sound pretty good too. It won't have that big choppy idle with a cam, but that's what that's for. See all those boxes? I've been getting parts and parts and parts. But back to the S10. So where are we at, man? I got the top transmission line on, which is the pressure line. I'll put the return on now. We'll throw a battery in it and see if she starts and leaks everywhere. So let's get that put in and see what we got. So I've done a few things. The battery's in. I lengthened the alternator connector. I repinned the IAC, hooked up the trans lines. I got the radiator hoses on. I think we're ready. I already cycled the key on, let it build fuel pressure. I did have a leak on this injector. All I did was tighten it down just slightly more and no more leak. So, at least I hope. We'll see. So now we are going to load. Now we're going to load the base tune, the stock tune back on it. I've already got it pulled up. Okay, the tune is in. I'm nervous, man. Let's see if it'll start. That's terrible. That's terrible. Okay, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. Let's pull up the scanner here. The injectors I put in are not good. So I'm wondering if maybe the injectors just kind of suck. May want to raise the idle slightly. It don't sound like it's really running on all 8, but we're gonna find out. Yeah, she's really lean. There we go. All right, we're good. I hope. I don't know. It's idling fairly smooth. It's very strong fuel smell. It's smooth. Okay, so much for taking it down the road. First of all, it's pouring out right now, which right now I don't have any windshield wipers, and the front's off. I got stuff in the bed, and I forgot I didn't put in coolant in it. So right now I don't see any leaks, but this thing's just about bone dry. So we'll get some coolant in it, make sure it's still not leaking. That injector may still be leaking a little bit. If so, and honestly, that may be where that slight miss is coming from. I have a whole nother set of injectors. I may replace all those because I think that might fix some of the issue. So I'll get those injectors replaced. I'll do that off camera, get some coolant in it, and I will be back in just a couple days, and we'll get this thing on the road, make sure it's driving all right, and we will start reassembly finally. So I know this was a very long episode, but we got a lot done. Obviously, I started the video with basically the engine tore all apart. We got the cam swapped. We got all the factory stuff put back on, intake, fuel rails, coil packs, valve covers. I replaced even the rockers with factory rockers because I want to take the nice trunnion upgraded rockers for the Nova build. We got the ICT Billet accessory brackets put on. Those are really nice. Instructions kind of suck, but if you're doing this, you can figure it out. So they're nice. All that's working. The belt may need slightly more tension, but it looks good. It's quiet. The power steering pump was bone dry, so I put some fluid in there. I got to obviously bleed that out a little bit. Everything's working well. It's not throwing any codes, but I can hear a slight miss, and I think that's the injectors. So let me think. Anything else, man? I mean, it's almost back together. So I think that'll do it for this video. It's been a long one. We got a lot accomplished. I'm happy. I think that this will work. We will see tomorrow or whenever your next video pops up, but I will see tomorrow. All right, so thanks for liking, commenting, subscribing. Until next time.